Today we're looking at a tense and highly charged debate featuring the well-known political commentator Fahima Mohammed. Yes, the same one who continues to appear frequently across various media platforms, especially within right-leaning outlets. This time, she faces off against a conservative analyst in a heated discussion about the burning of the Koran. The debate centers around a man who was arrested several months ago for setting fire to his own copy of the Koran, sparking widespread public debate over the limits of free speech. Let's take a closer look at what happened. Before we begin, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. We're diving straight into a conversation that challenges the very principles of liberal democracy, the quiet return of laws reminiscent of historical blasphemy legislation. A man has been convicted of a religiously aggravated public order offense after burning a Koran outside the Turkish consulate in London. The incident took place in Knightsbridge in February, where he shouted anti-Islamic slogans during the act. Footage showed bystanders confronting and attacking him. The man, Hamid, argued that this was a protest against President Erdogan and a legal exercise of his right to free expression. However, the court ruled that his actions caused alarm and distress. This raises the broader question: should the public destruction of religious texts be considered a criminal offense? To explore this, political commentator Fahima Mohammed and Alejandro Sanchez from the National Secular Society were invited to discuss the matter. Fahima acknowledged some public concern but found it difficult to accept that such a symbolically charged act could be justified under the banner of free speech. She stressed that the issue isn't about censoring debate but about avoiding forms of protest that echo some of the darkest moments in history, such as the Nazi-era book burnings targeting Jewish literature. In her view, this sort of action has no place in a modern, civilized society. In response, the opposing commentator argued that by nature, all protests target someone or something. He compared the burning of a holy book to the burning of national flags, questioning whether the public outcry would be the same if the Bible were involved. He claimed that the level of outrage often depends on which ideology or symbol is being attacked, and suggested that if someone had set fire to the UK flag, a left-wing commentator like Fahima might not have reacted so strongly. It was emphasized that the protest took place in front of the Turkish consulate and had a clear political motivation. For many, the protest was directed against Islamism as an ideology rather than against Islam or its followers. Hamid had deeply personal reasons for his actions, including a family history tied to the Armenian genocide. He claimed his protest was peaceful, yet he was physically assaulted. This raised a critical question: is a protest only peaceful if no one finds it offensive? Other demonstrations, such as pro-Palestinian marches with extreme slogans, have also sparked controversy. Yet some argue that burning religious texts crosses a line from provocation into hate speech. Fahima made it clear that her opposition extends to any form of religious desecration, regardless of the faith involved. She explained that while Islamism represents an extreme, millions of Muslims regard the Koran as a core part of their identity. Equating the book with extremism, she argued, is problematic. Another point raised was that in many authoritarian countries, Muslims themselves are the primary victims of blasphemy laws, where similar actions can lead to execution. However, Fahima distinguished those systems from UK law, which she believes strives to balance respect for all faiths with the rights of non-believers. From the opposing perspective, it was argued that those who do not believe in Allah, God, or Jesus must be free to express critical, even offensive, views about religious ideologies. Laws should protect individuals, not ideas. Setting fire to one's own property, however provocative, should not be grounds for legal punishment. This case has reignited debate over where the line lies between antisocial behavior and protected speech. Many fear that this conviction sets a dangerous precedent that could be used to silence ideological dissent, particularly against Islamism. Some have described this as an unofficial reintroduction of blasphemy laws under a different name. The Public Order Act, the Equality Act, and human rights legislation are meant to protect everyone, religious or not. This isn't about one religion. Alejandro Sanchez argued that Hamid's right to free expression was not adequately defended. Both the CPS and the judge admitted that damaging a religious text is not, in itself, a criminal act. However, in this instance, the Public Order Act was used as a stand-in for blasphemy legislation. The fact that Hamid was attacked with a knife for expressing his views was partly used to justify treating his protest as disorderly behavior. This, she claimed, amounts to blaming the victim for the violence inflicted upon him. She argued that the use of the Public Order Act in this way is a modern reinterpretation of outdated laws. Hammett, she noted, was even warned by the Metropolitan Police that his life was in danger. In her view, prosecuting him was a way of bowing to pressure from radical groups. This brings us to the concept of the heckler's veto, restricting freedoms in order to prevent potential violent reactions. Critics say this empowers extremists. It also implies, unfairly, that ordinary Muslims are incapable of responding peacefully to offense. While the attacks on Hammett were strongly condemned, there were also calls for protests to avoid extreme provocations. Current legislation, it was argued, exists to prevent public discourse from descending into chaos or violence. The importance of mutual respect in a civilized society was emphasized. Some believe that without legal safeguards, the UK risks losing its social cohesion. Others counter that the issue lies not in the absence of law, but in how society responds. Responsibility must rest not only with the legal system, but with each individual's conduct. Comparisons with the United States were drawn, highlighting a far more permissive system in which even hate speech may fall under the umbrella of free speech. The UK, by contrast, tries to maintain a more careful balance. It was noted that the judge viewed the Koran burning as a potential expression of hatred towards Muslims, although Hammett insisted his criticism was aimed at an ideology, not its followers. The discussion also touched on possible double standards. Some questioned whether similar actions involving the Bible or the Torah would be treated the same. Others argued that the context and societal impact matter more than the content itself. Farmer reiterated that Islam is often treated differently, something she personally experiences. That doesn't mean prejudice doesn't exist, but it does point to a particular sensitivity around Islam. It was also acknowledged that criticism and debate occur within the Muslim world itself. However, in authoritarian regimes, those discussions often result in violence. In the UK, such conversations should be possible without fear. The panel recalled a case in which a film was pulled from cinemas after protests by a Muslim group. According to critics, this was yet another instance where particular sensitivities curtailed the freedoms of others. The core message was clear: while respect is important, sacrificing fundamental liberties for fear of offense is not the answer. Censoring criticism of any ideology undermines the foundations of an open society. The debate concluded with a quote from Judge Sedley of the Court of Appeal: freedom of expression includes the heretical, the unwelcome, the provocative. If it doesn't include the right to offend, it isn't worth having. Farmer, on the other hand, appealed to spiritual values, asserting that no faith would condone such actions. In her view, a society more rooted in religious principles wouldn't face issues like this. In closing, concern was voiced over the possibility that Britain could lose its openness if open criticism of religion, any religion, is suppressed. And finally, with a touch of irony, someone mentioned the idea of burning a popular novel, just to prove a point. But the message remains the same as it was at the beginning: we treading on dangerous ground, and what's truly at stake here is our freedom. If you found this debate thought-provoking, let us know what you think in the comments. Do you believe this sets a worrying precedent for free speech? Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next analysis. See you in the next one.